I got the hooks on me with some basketball picks recently, but steady she goes. Steady goes the ship. It's a long game, not a short game. So we're here to dive into some offseason news. We have the madness still cooking in the NFL. If anything, March Madness has brought a ton of NFL news, fantasy ripples, a lot of information to break down. We're starting with Cleveland. We're starting with the Deshawn Watson sweepstakes. It's over. He has landed with the Browns. I have to imagine that we're both, considering him a buy candidate, given his talent, what we've seen from him. But what do you think about the ripple effects on this roster? What do you think this does for Amari Cooper, Nick Chubb, some of these back end guys? We'll start with that, and then we'll kind of break into maybe some more free agency stuff with them. What are you thinking about this situation in Cleveland now, Steve?
Yeah, obviously a shocking move. Kind of had thought Deshaun was going to be in Atlanta. All reports kind of seemed that way, and so him last minute becoming a Brown, good for him. I think it really is going to boost Amari Cooper. I think he is a better quarterback than what Dak Prescott has, and that's not even a knock on Dak. I think Deshaun's just really that talented. And Cleveland's lost some wide receivers now here. If they're hoping maybe, I think Deshaun's making a push, I read, to get Jarvis Landry re-signed there. But I think it's really going to be Amari Cooper's team. For Nick Chubb, I think it's going to be kind of status quo here. They're still going to be a run-heavy team. That's how they've built their roster. They have a good offensive line. So I really just kind of see that one staying. And, that Kareem Hunt's still on the horizon. I haven't heard anything and really on that front. If he returns, that probably boosts Deshaun and his. I think in the passing game, they're going to use him a lot. So, yeah, I think there's still some dominoes to fall. But
Agreed.
Shocking move for the Browns. Good for them. $230 million guaranteed. Holy shit.
100% guaranteed. Yeah, that was a pretty big shock. But I mean, hey, it's Cleveland. Like you got to sell them something, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It seemed like the move to Cleveland was going to be dead, but Baker was very vocal, and he's still very vocal apparently, that he was not coming back. He was not going to be attending any off-season workouts, mini camps, anything. He was going to be a complete holdout until they moved him. So that became a situation where the Browns had to be even more aggressive for him, and that's kind of where we saw those signals to Atlanta, potentially even to the Saints. And then, Browns came back around. They're like, hey, Baker's being an ass. Like, what do we need here? 100% guaranteed. Sounds good. Let's do it. Like, could we get this done yesterday? Love it for Cooper, Chubb, of course. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones definitely needs to be on our radars, at least for now. Like you said, like there could still be some more dominoes to fall. They also signed Jakeem Grant, could be another really low-end piece, deep sleeper in your leagues. He was, kind of like a pulse for the Bears offense there for a minute towards the end of the season, being used in all sorts of creative ways. Would love to see him, get some opportunity there. And David Njoku, huge winner here. Deshaun Watson, he's a guy that likes to target his tight ends. Jordan Atkins was always a pain in people's sides because who was the other guy too? It was
Darren Fells.
Yeah, Darren Fells. Yeah, those two. We could never figure out like who was going to find themselves in the end zone that week because Deshaun just loved targeting both of those guys. So he really loves those big body athletes in the red zone. Obviously, Amari Cooper definitely fits that criteria in that mold as well. I just think that you're going to see very safe floors for whoever the starters are. Like we still could see them go out and get another receiver. Like it sounds like Will Fuller's on the table. Maybe Julio Jones. We'll talk about him a little bit more in the back end of the show. I would not rule out some like low key moves like Jamison Crowder could be on the move there. It looked like he was going to re-sign with the Jets. Doesn't seem like that's still on the table. I wouldn't hate a move like that where you just get kind of like a really, rock solid like slot guy, right? Like I don't know if they necessarily have that right now. So I'd like to see, another receiver go there for sure. But if they move forward with the roster that they have now, I would still be buying a lot of these pieces. I did invest in some David Njoku in a startup already this offseason. So I already own a piece of him. Did not own him until, it was prior to the Watson news, obviously, because it just dropped not that long ago. So I'm really happy about that. I think that there's going to be a lot of safe floors here. We still need to obviously be concerned probably with Amari Cooper's availability, right? Like you want to draft him at an appropriate level. I don't know if I'm still ready to pull him into like the second round because of his injury history. Do you have any concern there?
No, I mean, I'm not going to pick him there personally. I've kind of been dying on that sword lately, and consistency has been an issue. Clearly, CeeDee Lamb kind of overtook the wide receiver run role in Dallas, so that hurt Amari Cooper. To kind of touch on your Njoku point, they also tagged him, and they're paying him a hefty price tag for what I think his true value is. So they're definitely going to want to get him integrated in this offense. So I like taking a stab at that. He is an athlete. But he's also kind of that finesse type tight end who can also, take something up the field 60 yards and, score. So love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone I'm definitely going to be targeting at value. I got him like really deep in this last draft, but I don't know if we're going to necessarily see him go, after like round 12 anymore. People are definitely going to be hyping him up, especially if they don't add another receiver there. So definitely someone I'm excited about. Watson, a huge buy candidate, at least until we, get any more information about a potential suspension. Do you have any concerns there? It seems like the NFL still has an ongoing investigation into his legal issues. I'm not so worried. I mean, yeah, we saw Calvin Ridley get suspended for a whole season for gambling, but without any clear, resolution legally, it seems like he's off the hook as far as like, actually being, sued or being gone after for like any defamation or anything like that. But the NFL still could have their say. Any worries about the suspension?
I mean, I'm probably, if any of those other elite quarterbacks, even like a Lamar Jackson, still sitting on the board ahead of him, yeah, I'm going to take them just because I know there's no risk. But if I'm sitting and I'm looking at a guy we'll kind of touch on later, Derek Carr, I'm probably going to try for the home run pick and Deshaun Watson, capitalize on that value of him going a little bit later than maybe he should be because of these concerns. And hey, sometimes those home runs are what win you a fantasy league, and not always playing it safe. That can get you maybe third place or something. So not too many concerns. I will say they brought in Jacoby Brissett. So I don't think that's really going to be, if the Browns are really worried about it, I don't think I think they ride with Case Keenum instead.
No, Case Keenum, he was traded to the Bills, 7th round pick.
Yeah, I don't think they would have done that just because of how well he's been in their offense and veteran presence. Just exactly what you're kind of looking for in a backup. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, not even a knock on him. He's good. But yeah, I think Watson's probably going to be clear for, if it was to unfold, it's going to unfold maybe mid-season.
Yeah. Brissett good is kind of like a, understatement, but all right. How about Baker Mayfield landing spots? Sounds like he's on the move. He's saying he wants to go to the Colts. I don't know if the Browns are necessarily going to, listen to what he wants at this point. When he came back with an attitude like, oh, hey, I'm out of here. Like, well, buddy, you're not that great. So why don't you just calm down? Like, just chill out for a minute. We're looking for a franchise quarterback. Like, we're not picking up your option here. Seattle, they're picking up the phone. Baker wants to go to the Colts. I don't know if they're actually going to honor that type of request. I don't know if the Colts even want him. Colts are still, on the table for pretty much anybody at this point. Where's a good landing spot for Baker? Like, where do you see him fitting in where he could actually be fantasy relevant or even be just a week one starter?
Yeah, I really do think the best fit is with the Colts. I like what they have there. I think they don't have to rely on him necessarily slinging the ball all the time, similar to what the Browns did. The thing with Baker Mayfield for me is like a large part of his issues were injuries. I think were kind of holding him back and just constantly there, never fully healthy.
Right.
So now where did that occur? Did that occur in Baker Mayfield's camp where he was, no, I'm good to go, I want to play? Or was that a Browns thing, like, hey, we need you out here, let's get you? Really, it's tough for me it's tough to think of another landing spot outside of Indy. I mean, you have the Panthers, who obviously they've kind of, maybe they go in the draft for somebody. And then, are the Seahawks content with Drew Lock? I would hope that they're not, because my God, is he bad. But yeah, maybe the Seahawks. I don't see the Atlanta really getting in on this sweepstakes. They're going to have to do something with Matt Ryan if they were going to do that. Incredible cap hit for Matt Ryan and the Falcons this year. So yeah, I really think it's kind of carved itself out for him to go to the Colts. What's the value that Cleveland's going to get back? I mean, it's got to be pennies on the dollar at this point.
They're asking for a day 2 pick, so second round or beyond.
Wow.
I just don't think that's realistic. No one should be doing them any favors. He's in the last year of his contract. I feel like he's going to wind up being a cut candidate, if anything, because I don't know what team is going to go out there and try to make a move for him when you still could sign a Jameis Winston. I would assume that Jameis Winston should be more coveted at this point because you just have to sign him, right? Like you don't have to give up any picks for him. I could see like Andy Dalton kind of step into the territory of like, hey, like, do we go after a cheap guy like him or do we go after a guy like Baker who's going to want a little bit more money because he doesn't have a contract beyond this season? You know what I mean? Like you have to pick up his option and look to sign him for the future. He's probably going to want more. He was still, a first overall pick by the Browns. So, I have to imagine he's asking for a little bit more than what some of these other guys are. So if I was one of these teams like the Colts or the Seahawks or even the Panthers, whoever's still looking for a quarterback, I think this just pole vaults Jameis Winston to the top because, the biggest domino in Deshaun Watson has fallen. Winston seems like the best that's available.
Yeah, I do believe I saw a report from Schefter, or maybe it was actually Justina Anderson. I think it's damn near confirmed that Jameis Winston's going to be back with the Saints this year after the Watson news broke.
Okay.
I just think maybe a team wants to, and that's kind of why I also like the Colts. They have some young guys where you can kind of take a swing on the upside of what Baker has. I mean, he was breaking records his rookie year, so we do know he can sling the ball. Yeah, but there was a bit where the Colts, I think, were disappointed in Wentz's leadership in that locker room. And is Baker Mayfield the guy who's going to come in there and be a leader when we've seen what he's done to the Cleveland Browns? I feel like he kind of tore that entire locker room apart, whether it be OBJ, this demanding a trade, kind of a prima donna, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can get along with that. Baker, I could see fitting in with Seattle. I could see the Saints as well, but it does sound like Jameis could be heading back there. If I'm Jameis, honestly, I wouldn't, but we'll get to that in a bit when we talk more about Jameis. But I think both of those would be decent fits. I just don't see him just like being the guy anywhere. Like I see him going somewhere and having to compete. Like if he went to the Panthers, I think he's competing with Sam Darnold. If he goes to Seattle, I still honestly think that he's competing with Drew Lock. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that he's a home run guy to start week 1 next season. So I'm interested to see where the league is going to go with this. If there isn't going to be any big moves for him, or if he's just going to wind up getting cut and then added into someone's quarterback room. All right, next up, another big one. Davante Adams to the Raiders. Packers wide receiverless. We'll get to them here in a minute. What do we think about the Raiders loading up at wide receiver? This division's looking like Project X. It's absolutely lit in the AFC West. Let's start with Adams and the Raiders. Is Adams still a wide receiver 1 for you, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, Adams, in my opinion, is the number 1 wide receiver in the entire league. Full route tree, can really just slice and dice you, whether it's deep, cross the middle, short, intermediate. He really is that guy. He scores touchdowns. So I expect really no drop-off from him, barring injury. He will have to compete. I mean, there will be some other guys who are going to take some targets where I felt like last year, who was taking targets from Tanyan missed a year. Randall Cobb, I guess, for a little bit at the beginning, like not much, So I feel like there will be a little bit of a competition there, but still wide receiver 1 easily all day. It's an arms race in the NFC or AFC West. I mean, everyone was loading up pass rushers, quarterbacks, wide receivers. It's nuts. Going to be must-watch games this year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those division games are going to be absolutely lit. Super excited about that. I definitely have Adams still locked in as a top 5 wide receiver. I do expect some touchdown regression as well, though. When you're looking at the Packers with Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers, Aaron would just overload him with touchdown opportunities, especially in the red zone. I feel like with a guy like Darren Waller in your lineup, you're still going to see a little bit of that regression. And I'm not bailing on Hunter Renfro. I guess we'll move on to him. I mean, everyone is saying, oh, you couldn't get back Hunter Renfro in this trade. Now Hunter Renfro doesn't have any value because he's playing behind Davante Adams. I don't see it that way. I mean, this division is going to be super competitive. I don't see the Raiders having like this high octane, high producing defense. I would say they're probably probably a close tie for third as far as defense goes in that division with the Chiefs. fringe one way or the other, right? So I feel like these guys are going to be competitive. They're going to be in a lot of games. And there's going to be some high scoring totals for the Raiders this season. I want every bit of Darren Waller and Hunter Renfro, Devontae Adams in that mix. You have probably one of the highest percentage or you have the highest catching percentage probably of like any 3-man tandem in the league. You know, the hands on all of those guys are amazing, right? So I want every bit of Hunter Renfro still. I think that he's going to go at much better value. Do you agree, disagree with that? Or are you going to stay away from him now?
No, I was actually looking at his targets, and I don't even see like too much of a downturn in targets. I mean, there was obviously a stretch once Waller, when he was missing games, where we were seeing 9 or more targets for him. Maybe you back that off a little, but we've seen this on other teams. I mean, the perfect example that it was years ago now, but Antonio Brown being that elite number 1, what that meant to Juju. And it was, it transcended Juju to be at that next level. And I think that's what it's going to do for Hunter Renfro. He can still carve you up too. He's another route runner who just gets open down the stretch. Late last season, he was huge for me. I actually even picked him up off waivers. So I think he's still going to be a home run.
No, I'm all in on him. I want every bit of these guys. The last startup that I did this offseason, I got Hunter Renfro in the 8th round, and most of my peers thought that I, kind of overpaid for him, and I was okay with that because I like what I get out of him. The consistency with the catch rate is going to be super high. Yeah, maybe you're right. The targets do come down a little bit. Obviously, with Devontae Adams there, like you're going to target a prolific receiver like him more than you are a guy like Hunter Renfro, who is going to be more of a slot-oriented receiver, some guy, a guy that's going to get you, really solid numbers inside, the 10-yard line, like, the line of scrimmage to the next 10 yards. He's going to be absolutely rock solid, has great footwork, has great hands. I think there's still a lot to love about this team. We saw Darren Waller obviously missing some time last season. If that narrative continues, then obviously Renfro and Adams are going to thrive off of each other, and it's going to be a great tandem. So very excited about what's to come there in Vegas. And Derek Carr holders like myself, like this is a great situation. Like, is Derek Carr a top 5 quarterback potentially?
So I was looking at this, and I'm thinking maybe where we talk about top 10. Top 5 is just still a little too rich for me. I think there's some guys just looking at like guys who finished in front of him, like obviously Josh Allen's still going to be there. Mahomes, Rodgers, even with wide receiver lists. Maybe like a person like Kirk Cousins who finished ahead of him. He probably falls next year, maybe. So I think maybe we're talking more top 10, top 5, still a little too rich for me in the division where, we've seen other teams spend big on some of their defenses. So yeah, I'm not ready to put him in the top 5 conversation, but maybe he'll prove me wrong.
I think he could be a dark horse for the top 5, but I think, it's more realistic that he probably finishes somewhere between 6 and 12. Like he is 1,000% in quarterback 1 territory, but scaving out the top 5, you might need an injury or two, and obviously we don't want to see that. Quarterback, super important position. And that means we also have someone else getting hurt on one of our other fantasy teams, right? So would like to see it, but am I putting my money on it? No. I mean, I'm excited to get out some props, that's for sure. When Derek Carr props start popping up, after this free agency period, I think that's going to be pretty exciting. But yeah, top 5, it's a little bit rich. It's definitely on the table, but I think we're getting a little bit too excited if we're going that far. What do we think the Packers should do for their wide receiver position? I mean, we're looking at Allen Lazard, Amari Rodgers, and Randall Cobb. Still have some big names out there. Julio Jones. OBJ could potentially be on the table now that Allen Robinson has moved over to the Rams. I mentioned Jamison Crowder earlier. Any of these guys popping out at you?
I think maybe you could also see if Will Fuller doesn't sign with the Browns. I mean, that's what the reports kind of have been, because they've been linked in years past. Someone who can definitely just take the top off the defense for them.
Right.
Am I crazy though for wanting Julio? And I'm a Bears fan. It's just messed up that I'm even saying this, but I want to see Julio Jones and Aaron Rodgers together a little bit. Obviously, Julio's not the Julio of the past. We've kind of see him injury riddled, but those are 2 elite players where, hey, you kind of salvage trading away the best wide receiver in the league. Maybe you can get some value there. Don't see OBJ going there. Just don't. It's probably because I just doesn't really fit OBJ's brand, in my opinion. But I guess maybe Cleveland didn't either. I mean, that's not the most desirable.
He got traded to Cleveland, so
okay, yeah, fair. So, yeah, I mean, also I think the Packers might just be fine with building out some. I mean, Jamison Crowder, Aaron Rodgers is going to make him just fine of a receiver. If you could just add a few of those. St. Brown, you kind of hope. Oh no, he's not. He's no longer there. He's a Chicago Bear.
There's a bear.
Yes,
wasn't the ideal signing I was looking for, but whatever.
It's something. It's something. We got to throw a couple people out there other than Mooney because I guess so. We're pretty bare bones out there.
Yeah, that's true. I would like Jamison Crowder. Will Fuller's definitely been linked to them before, so I wouldn't hate that. But man, I just don't know who's going to come in and provide like any of that steady production. I think hopefully I would assume that they would try to attack the draft. Maybe not draft another running back or defensive player with their first pick. I don't know. Maybe you try to go after a Treylon Burks.
No, I think they should add another quarterback. I think they should put one behind Jordan Love.
That would be terrific. Yeah. So that will be a big spotlight on their first couple of picks in the draft for sure. But I have to imagine they load up at wide receiver. We'll see what happens there. I certainly didn't hate this for my Allen Lazard shares in Dynasty. Let's go.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
I guess we'll see.
Well, I mean, I think Lazard has been, at times he's shown that he can, be serviceable. And he's going to be the top guy there now. So
he has a very good
bottom barrel.
Yeah, he has a very good connection with Aaron Rodgers. So like that's all I'm riding with. Like they lived with each other for like a little bit one year. So I'm just like, all right, they're best buds.
Roomies.
Devontae is no longer there. Will Allen Lazard become Jordy Nelson? Let's go. Come on, bring it home. Let's get it. All right. Next up, we've got Juju Smith-Schuster headed to KC. What do you think about this for fantasy ripples and his draft stock? I mean, he's not a guy that I'm necessarily looking to take in the first couple of rounds. I'd still like him to probably be my third or fourth receiver, at least coming out of my fantasy draft. But I don't know. Could be also a big spot for him to blow up. What do you think about this move?
Yeah, in redraft, I like it. Obviously, he's going to be splitting some targets with their superstars that they have there in Hill and Kelsey. But I like that option he adds. They've been wanting Mecole Hardman, Byron Pringle, those type of guys. Another new Bear, Byron Pringle. But I do think for in a redraft, you could take Juju. I think as long as his health is there, he's probably going to have good numbers. Dynasty, though, I do think you kind of have to put a pause because this is a 1-year deal. It's probably, I would guess that he probably doesn't return beyond that because he's going to go chase a much larger, this kind of a bet on yourself deal. Did you see how this contract actually broke down? It is.
No, I didn't.
It's technically a 1-year, $3.25 million deal with like $7 million in what do you call that? In incentives. Terrible deal.
Juju.
I don't know why he ever. But I also think he's one of the players who's negotiating on his own behalf. So obviously they took advantage there, but maybe they get a ring.
I don't know, man. I saw how that worked out for Antonio Brown. And if you're not like all in, like if you're not 100% a Chief, like playing the Chief way, they're not going to give you those opportunities, man. I mean, this is the NFL, like an extra $7 million, like working that up from $3 million to 10. I don't know, man. I wasn't aware of that. It's not an ideal situation for any player, in my opinion, just because you just have so little control of the game flow and how you're going to get used. You know what I mean? Like obviously when you're open and you're on the field, Mahomes is going to hit you. That's a fact. But you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean you're going to be on the field every single package, every down. You know what I mean? I still think that Smith-Schuster should be in that wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, like fringe territory, anywhere from like, wide receiver 20 to 27, I feel like is a pretty decent space to draft him, being that he does have the upside of playing along Patrick Mahomes. I think Mahomes is definitely the biggest winner in this scenario because he gets a rock solid wide receiver 2 in an even more competitive division now. But wholeheartedly, I just believe that this addition opens up more options for Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. I feel like these guys are going to be more efficient. I think their targets are probably going to be similar. I think if anything, Juju Smith-Schuster really cleans up, the empty production that they were getting from guys like Mecole Hardman, Byron Pringle, who's the other one that's not coming to me, Demarcus Robinson. Like those guys are always putting up kind of like empty stats. One's popping off every now and again. I feel like Juju just really cleans up, those empty numbers there. And we still see those high flying production and high octane play from Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, who I don't feel have been affected by this addition whatsoever. Like I'm not pulling Tyreek Hill back or Kelsey back from their draft positions of like top 3 or top 5 at their position because Juju's been added in. And in Dynasty, I agree with you. You don't want to overspend on Juju in your drafts because, it's only a 1-year deal. We have no idea who will want to pay him a ton of money next season. Maybe it will be the Jags after they're able to dump off Christian Kirk. Who knows?
Yeah, that's nuts. That's another one. I mean, 4 years, 84? Whew. That's an Urban Meyer type deal.
Wide receiver 1, Christian Kirk on that roster right now. Wide receiver 1, absolutely.
And they won't give Shenault the ball. It's a crime.
Oh, well, we'll get to them here soon. They added Evan Ingram. They won't stop making moves, so we'll get to the Evan Ingram news here pretty soon. But Matt Ryan, is he staying in Atlanta? It seemed like they were like this close to landing Deshaun Watson, and then Baker, like we talked about earlier, he just had to go and run his mouth. The Browns are like, whoa, hold up, we're in. So Matt Ryan now, sticky situation for Atlanta. They were literally like ready to get rid of their franchise guy, the one that they've been loyal to for I don't know how many years now. How many years he's been in the league? Feels like forever. Ice Age level stuff, right? I don't know. Is he going to stay? Do they put him on the move? I feel like there are some teams that are interested, but again, this is a situation where I say, why give up anything for Matt Ryan when you can just go out and sign or be even more aggressive to sign a guy like Jameis Winston? What do you think about this scenario?
Yeah, I think he's staying put. I think it's just it's too much. I mean, I think the Deshaun Watson's trade kind of made sense because that's kind of setting up your future to be very, very bright young quarterback.
Exactly.
But the teams that are left either, I feel like that need a quarterback aren't maybe you could say the Colts, but aren't really a piece away from a Super Bowl where like Matt Ryan would put him over that hump. And for all you're going to have to give up for him, all you're going to be on the hook for, and you're going to have to figure out something with, Falcons eating some of that money. I think it all kind of signs are just pointing to him staying put. Maybe they draft a guy, sit him behind him. And hey, they don't have Calvin Ridley for a year, so don't go too crazy, Falcons.
Bro, this team looks bad. Like really, really bad. Matt Ryan, they brought back Cordell Patterson. We'll talk about him a little bit later, but he doesn't have any targets. I don't know who's interested in helping out Atlanta right now. Like, if you're the Seahawks, does Matt Ryan give you a better chance to win, this season? I guess so. Like, I guess
he gives you a bit, but
yeah, a bit of an upgrade over Drew Lock. But at the same time, like, I don't know what that does. I don't know what that does for them long term. Like, Matt Ryan doesn't seem like a guy that should be continuing to play. I've called him dead arm Matt Ryan for, I don't know, most of this past season. I've seen him flub passes to the flat, miss guys who are completely wide open downfield. Like, yeah, he can still make some plays. He can, even move and shake a little bit, but is he a guy that you want to invest in long term, give up draft picks for? I don't think so. Is there a personnel player that you're going to be able to swap for him? No, I don't know. I feel like they would need to wait for him to get cut, which is not going to happen. They just restructured his contract. I think this is an absolute stay put situation for him. I don't really think that, honestly, any of these landing spots make sense. I don't believe Matt Ryan's a guy that can just go out and win you a Super Bowl. So unless he was cut, I don't see there's any reason to invest in him whatsoever. We can move on from him because I know we're going to be talking about the Falcons again. Gardner Minshew would be a guy that I would invest in more so. He's been linked a little bit here to the Carolina Panthers. I personally don't think that the Eagles should trade him. But what do you think? Like, do you think that one of these teams could come in and make, a compelling offer that says like, all right, fine, screw it. Like, we'll take Andy Dalton as our backup and we'll move on from Gardner Minshew. What do you think about this quarterback situation for the Eagles?
It's shocking. I mean, when you look at Gardner Minshew's career numbers, the fact that he isn't, getting more looks at being a starter is kind of crazy. I just don't think. I think the Panthers. I think that would be really the only one, and they've kind of made these moves in years past, Teddy Bridgewater, then Sam Darnold, and they've just kind of whiffed. Are you really willing to dip back into that type of market and go after Gardner Minshew? Only other place I wouldn't really mind, though, is the Seahawks. I think he's an upgrade over Drew Lock. You have definitely talented receivers there, and I think Gardner Minshew can pass very, very well, whereas Drew Lock cannot. So
keep it simple.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think Minshew probably stays put because it doesn't sound like the Eagles are in love with Jalen Hurts either.
Yeah, they were in the sweepstakes for Deshaun Watson. They wanted every bit of Watson that they could get.
Russell, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know if they believe in Jalen Hurts being their future guy. I like Minshew as my backup than on a starter on another team. I'll tell you that much. And when he filled in this year for Hurts, he did very, very well. I think in the game that he appeared in, he missed like 1 or 2 passes. He was super efficient. He looked really good, threw a couple of touchdown passes to Dallas Goedert. Love that for my fantasy team. Thank you, Minshew. Appreciated that. I think he could be a solid option for somebody. Is it the Panthers? I don't know. Like you said, they've swung and missed multiple times. Add Cam Newton, bringing him back into that whole mix. I mean, they didn't bring him back to be a quarterback. They, brought him back to just get some usage, and they got it out of him. But then they tried him at quarterback and was like, whoa, this was a bad idea. I don't believe that Sam Darnold is a starter in this league. I also don't believe that Baker Mayfield is a starter in this league. So, I mean, those guys still could both start week 1 next season. I think these guys like Marcus Mariota, Minshew, Garoppolo are all better options. Honestly, I'd love to see those 3 guys starting over either of those 2 next season. So whether that's on the Panthers, Seattle, the Saints, for any of those guys, I would prefer those 3 over Mayfield and Darnold all day, twice on Sundays. So I would love to see Marcus Mariota get into that mix for the Panthers. Again, this is a situation where why spend like draft capital or player capital when I can just go and sign a guy that's available. So I'm still banging the Marcus Mariota drum to the Panthers. I feel like he's a very good combination of what you would have gotten out of Sam Darnold or Cam Newton. Still a guy that can move and shake outside. You can run that triple option with him. If they landed Gardner Minshew, I'd be all about it. I think I still own Minshew in a few places, just like deep quarterback spots where I just want to stash him. So he would be someone that if he's on the waiver wire, you definitely want to own him for sure because he could get moved or there could be issues with Jalen Hurts at any point. I think he's a great handcuff.
Yes.
All right, next up, our guy, Allen Robinson, getting a fresh start, 3 years, $46.5 million. The Rams believe in him. We've believed in him, even on a bad Bears team. Is this going to work in L.A.? And what do you think the ripple effects are here? Do we believe OBJ is coming back? We saw Bob Trees get moved already, obviously. What do you think is shaking out of this situation with the Rams?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a great move by the Rams. Allen Robinson originally from Detroit, Michigan. So obviously I think he's probably seen plenty of Matthew Stafford. And I would think that Kupp probably – I don't see how you take any targets away from Kupp. Dude was absolutely amazing last year. Arguably one of the best wide receiver seasons of all time. And I even think you're going to see them bring back OBJ. I mean, he's going to have a long recovery time, not be ready to start the season. And they're gearing up. They're going for another Super Bowl. They're not just trying to do these small time moves. So I think OBJ makes sense there. I think this is an all around slam dunk. Allen Robinson, what we saw last year, it seems like maybe there was even some, emotions might have gotten into that between him, Nagy, whatever it was. And going to a defending Super Bowl champs, that's going to light a fire under your ass. And he's done it with way worse quarterbacks. So you give him the best quarterback he's had in his career. We might see him, 1,100 yards easy.
Oh yeah, 1,100 yards, lock that in. I would go over the 1,150 with any prop. Give me over 1,149.5 any day, twice on Sunday for sure. I think it's a great situation. Like you mentioned, playing with the best quarterback he's ever had in his entire career. He's had guys like Andy Dalton, Justin Fields. Who am I missing down in Jacksonville? Blake Bortles. Yeah, I was thinking of a Gilbert for some reason. Blake Bortles down in Jacksonville. They went to the AFC Championship game, but
yeah. I mean, we don't slander Blake Bortles here. I will say that though. Good guy.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if I talk about him. I don't know if I talk about him enough to say one thing one way or the other, positive or negative. But yeah, sure. I couldn't think of his name 2 seconds ago. But yeah, I don't say anything bad. I don't say anything bad about him. I can't. His name's not even coming to my head. But yeah, to that point though, like he's going to get a huge upgrade at the quarterback position. I trust how Sean McVay will use him. And it's going to be definitely a much higher ceiling if they don't bring back OBJ. But like you said, this is a team that's going to go all in again for the Super Bowl. It would behoove them to probably try and get him back. But they just spent a very big bag on Allen Robinson, and OBJ, money talks and money walks. So if someone makes him a bigger offer or can get him a better deal, I think that may be the case. Obviously he's coming in hurt. He's coming in injured. So
and
I would assume
second ACL tear. How much is a team going to really be willing to drop? In my opinion, on that, that's why I could see him returning.
I don't know. The Packers haven't handled their wide receiver position very well for some years, so I don't know. We could see them do that. I have no clue. There just could be some desperate teams out there. I don't know if another contender is going to open up the bag for him, like the Rams. Like I still feel like the Rams would give him a decent deal, but he scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Like I feel like that dude's going to be running his mouth a little bit around that locker room in LA. You know what I mean? Like I was a part of this team getting a championship. I would have had 3 touchdowns if I didn't get hurt. You know what I mean? I hate what this does for Van Jefferson if OBJ were to come back. Van Jefferson was getting like that time on the field like an everyday starter almost. Like he was getting a ton of snaps, playing behind Cooper Kupp. When they were struggling at the wide receiver position, when Woods got hurt, they didn't have OBJ yet, right? So his value definitely takes a kick in the dick. Like that's definitely not an ideal situation for him. If they don't bring back OBJ, I'm definitely still all in with Van Jefferson. I still want to get as much of him as I can because I think he's a great route runner, playmaker, etc. Like I think he fits this team very well. A good downfield target, has a lot of speed as well. But Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson, they're going to be a great 1-2 tandem. Very excited about that. I am definitely targeting Allen Robinson over, say, like Amari Cooper still, because I trust Allen Robinson to hopefully be a little bit more available than Amari Cooper. I feel like his injury narrative is a little bit stronger. And to your point last season, like with the Bears, like, yeah, he wasn't playing for the Bears. He wasn't playing for Nagy. Like the team is in a complete rebuild mode. He didn't want to go out there and I think overexpose himself to injury opportunities. And there were still some flashes to his play as Fields developed throughout the season. So I think that he's still going to be just fine to be drafting early on. I will take a stab at him probably, at the end of the second, beginning of the third round. I'm feeling really good about him. Woods to Tennessee now after this move, though. What do we think about that? I mean, I feel like obviously, not a high volume offense for passing, but still a good opportunity for him in Tennessee. Are you buying his value there?
It is a good opportunity. They got him for, I will say he's going to be, yeah, they got him for like nothing, 6th-round pick. He's going to be turning 30 next month. So that's obviously working against him. It's going to come down to his availability. If he misses games, I don't see a bounce back. He's only had over 1,000 yards twice in his career. So, I mean, if you're expecting some mega numbers for them, you still have A.J. Brown sitting in front of him, and you're a run-dominant, like super, super run-dominant offense. So, to me, this doesn't do enough to make me it's one of those where you just settle if like, this is how the board's going to, shake out. Yeah, I'll take Robert Woods. But am I ever looking for Robert Woods this year? Probably not.
Let him follow you at value. Absolutely. Nick Westbrook, a kind season, it's going to be held off a little bit. I was a little excited. I was like, I got this guy off of waivers, like super late, got him for free. Julio is gone. Nick Westbrook, a kind season. No, Rob Tree says no. So draft any of those guys at value. Obviously, A.J. Brown still, a top-tier wide receiver. Like he's going to take the top off for that offense. Going to be a big downfield guy. I think he's a winner here, obviously, because Julio at 100%, you're going to look Julio's way. Any quarterback's going to look Julio's way. Like I don't care how old the dude is. Like you're gonna target him for sure. Like you're going to see what you can get out of him, right? Mm-hmm. Bob Trees, on the other hand, more of kind of like your slot guy, a shifty wide receiver, not someone that you're going to expect to be opening up the field, downfield, right? So I think it's a decent ad, but not someone. Yeah, I agree. I'm not targeting him. I would still be looking to sell him in all dynasty formats. If there's anyone, maybe a Titans fan in your league that's really hyped about it for some reason, then by all means, let him set sail. I'll take anything from a second round pick or beyond. I think that's a steal, to be perfectly honest with you. Like you mentioned, at his age, the heavy run attack is just not going to be there for him. Someone that you could probably trust for 4 to 5 targets a game, you're really betting on when he's going to score a touchdown. Probably. I don't see like really high end production from him, but definitely someone I would trust in a bye week. Fill out my bench, fill in for an injury here and there, but not someone that I'm targeting to get with like mass shares, right?
Yeah, 100%.
I know you're trying to get this guy at mass shares, Steve. Evan Ingram, new home in Jacksonville. What do you think? You buying or selling?
I'm selling because, we've seen Evan Ingram, and we've also seen the Jacksonville Jaguars for years on end. And I will say there is a bit of a bright spot. Doug Peterson, obviously being their coach, and what he's been able to do, with Zach Ertz and Goddard. Maybe he was there with Selleck for a little bit. But yeah, that's probably the only upside you see there. Evan Ingram still drops passes. That hasn't changed. He's a Pro Bowler, but God, I don't know how the hell he made a Pro Bowl.
Anybody be a Pro Bowler now, man.
Well, Mitch Trubisky made a Pro Bowl, so that says it all right there.
The ball's wet, man. The ball's wet. This damn ball is so wet.
So I'm not
of that Pro Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, that's a tough watch. I'm out on Ingram though.
I agree. And it's not because Ingram drops the ball. It's really not. If Ingram had gone to, the Cowboys, if they were like, oh, let's run some double tight end sets, or the Chiefs, or somewhere with a prolific quarterback, I'd be like,
yes.
Sure. I'll take a stab at him. I'll even throw him at like number 10 in my tight end rankings or something like that. Fuck it. Why not? Right? The Jags? No. Christian Kirk, Marvin Jones, Zay Jones, Laviska Shenault, Travis Etienne, James Robinson, and now Evan Ingram. I said all of those names. Trevor Lawrence is going to throw to Jamal Agnew and Dan Arnold.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be week 1. It's going to be halftime. You're going to see like one target for all those receivers, like one for Kirk, one for Shenault, one for Jones, one for Jones. They got two Jones now, Zay and Marvin, right? And then you're going to see Jamal Agnew with like 5 and Dan Arnold with 4. It's going to be so disappointing. I just don't trust Trevor Lawrence. Maybe he plays a little bit better with the new offensive system. Doug Peterson calling plays, excuse me. But yeah, I'm not in on Evan Ingram in this format. Sell in all formats, staying away. I'm liking what I'm seeing from some of these other rising tight ends. David Njoku, like we mentioned, Albert Okwibunam. I'm starting to practice.
Oh, that's a hell of a name.
Okwibunam. I'm gonna get it by week 1.
Alberto.
I'm gonna be like spelling being that shit, like definition. Use it in a sentence. I'm doing it backwards. I'm gonna have it, man.
I will guarantee all the viewers that week 18, I'll still be calling him Alberto.
Yeah, probably. It's just a lot easier off the tongue, isn't it? Just a lot easier off the tongue. But yeah, I like some of these other rising stocks rather than, targeting Evan Ingram because, he's not playing with Dan Jones anymore. Like, don't feed into that narrative that there's a better quarterback or a better situation, or Doug Peterson has experience with Zach Ertz, who's a prolific tight end, like someone that, was very good at the position for many years, right? Like, I'm not going to buy any of that, passing hard on him. And mostly all of these Jaguars, I don't know who I want to trust. Robinson coming back now from an injury, Etienne coming back from an injury. These receivers, I don't think you have a wide receiver one out of any of them right at this point. Like, Christian Kirk could collect some production because he's their guy, quote unquote, at least who's making the most money at the wide receiver position. But I don't know if that means anything on the field. I don't think it translates. So yeah, I'm staying as far away as I can. All right, next up, we've got Jameis Winston, best landing spots. It sounds like he's coming back to the Saints, but personally, Steve, I don't think that he should. I feel like the Seahawks are a better option. I feel like the Colts are a better option. The Saints, he's just going to be, they're giving him second place. Like, oh, hey, we didn't win the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, so we would like you to come back now. Should he follow suit and just go back to the Saints, or do you see one of these other landing spots being a better opportunity for him?
I think he's just going to return. I think they're going to give him, good enough money coming off of the ACL tear for him. I guess I could see where you say. I do think why when you look at what the Saints have, I mean, granted, Mike Thomas probably back this year. That'd be huge for him.
Right.
Seahawks, I mean, yeah, they have a better offense around you. But you saw Russell Wilson didn't like, how the play calling is stale. And maybe you're hoping a little bit, and obviously no Sean Payton, but they're still going to kind of be a high offense. They still got Kamara, who they can lean on. That's kind of a check down Charlie for Jameis Winston. So I kind of just feel like he's a boy from the South. He ain't leaving.
Sure. I get that. Maybe Indiana isn't like the coolest place for Jameis to go. He may not be hip into going to Indianapolis, but I think he should be interested at least. I think they have favorable comps, to what the Saints can offer, and I feel like they're the most well-rounded option is like a team. Like when you look at their defense, you look at their offense, what they provide on both sides of the ball. I feel like the Colts would be a good landing spot for them. And I don't know. If I'm Jameis Winston, I wouldn't be trying to do the Saints any favors because they weren't trying to do me any like days ago. They were trying to get Deshaun Watson, somebody else, and now you're coming back to me after you missed. I don't know. I'm not necessarily with it. Did you see that video of that linebacker that was hurt? I can't remember his name.
David Ajagbo. Terrible.
Yeah. Did you see the video of it of when he got hurt?
Are you talking about the guy from Michigan and at his pro?
Yeah. Did you see the video though after he was injured?
Yeah, they just went and picked up the ball. Absolutely shitty. Absolute. Yeah. Bucky Brooks had a tweet about it, and I couldn't agree more. That was tough to stomach to see a bunch of grown men just not give a rat's ass about a dude.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like
a kid who tore his Achilles. I was on the precipice of making millions of dollars, and rightfully so. He was an absolute stud opposite of Aiden Hutchinson this year, and that's coming from an Ohio State fan. Tough look for the NFL. But I mean, is that anything new for him? We have
cutthroat league.
Yeah,
cutthroat league. That's all I'm getting at here. Like, right? So Jameis, like, bro, why do these people any favors? You know what I mean? Like, they weren't even touting you as their best option. They're just touting you as the guy that they're relying on to just do them a favor and come back. You know what I mean? I wouldn't do it to him. I'd say peace out. I like Seattle's options on offense. Yeah, the play calling is a little bit stale. Maybe they would open that up for him. At least they could sell it to him, like we were going to open it up to him.
Yeah, you can sell it, but Pete Carroll, he's so stuck in his ways. I mean, the fact that he couldn't maximize Russell Wilson is a shame.
Hand it off to Marshawn Lynch. Just hand it off to me. I'll just carry it in, bro. It's right there. I'll just walk my ass in. Yeah, I think he should go to the Colts. I do think Seattle would be a good second place, but again, like I just don't think he's doing himself any favors. I think he's doing New Orleans favors by going back to the Saints. So I would stay away from there.
Quickly, Taysom Hill. I think he just got $20 million fully guaranteed for him now. I think that went into effect maybe Friday. That makes him the top paid tight end in the entire league. Absolutely. Sean Payton just gave the double bird and said, I don't care about cap space because I'm out of here, guys.
I'm leaving.
That is unbelievable that he's getting paid that much. And I think I believe it was Friday. I want to say maybe it was yesterday. But yeah, I got a buddy who is a Saints fan and he was livid.
Screw you guys, I'm getting him. Enjoy Taysom Hill. Why do the Dolphins hate Myles Gaskin so much? I don't understand this. Like, I understand McDaniels, like what he's trying to do here. I get it. San Francisco in the East. I sure. They added Raheem Mostert. They've added Chase Edmonds. I'm probably forgetting somebody else there. I know they re-signed Salvon Ahmed, but I feel like there's even another name that I'm missing in this group. No, that's it. So Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert, Myles Gaskin, now Salvon Ahmed. What the hell, man? Like, I was excited when McDaniels came to Miami for Myles Gaskin. Like, oh, great. He's going to get an opportunity to really shine in a run-focused offense. Oh, shit. They won't stop signing running backs. What is going on here? Like, why hasn't Myles Gaskin asked for a trade yet? I don't get this.
Because I don't know if he has enough leverage currently, really, to get something like that on. I also don't get where the Dolphins are coming from. This kind of Raheem Mostert, to me, maybe it's slightly better, but remember when they went out and got Matt Breida and then absolutely just didn't use him and all that? This kind of has similar vibes.
Yeah, Matt Breida and Jordan Howard, and then they didn't use either of them except for Jordan Howard at the 1. It seems like more of that, though. But when Jordan Howard was doing that, he was taking away value from Myles Gaskin, and it's just pissing me off year after year after year. It's too much. It's too much, man.
And Chase Edmonds clearly going to be, the pass catching back, I feel like. Yeah. And that takes where I thought Gaskins actually wasn't too bad at, I thought that's where his role could be. But clearly, I get it. Mike McDaniels wants his guys, though.
Raheem Mostert, definitely one of his guys. Raheem Mostert, he's one of his dudes for sure. Has a lot of experience, very close to McDaniels in San Francisco. I think he could be like a decent ad here and there. Like he's going to be a waiver wire type of guy, probably, where people pick him up. Maybe he doesn't produce for the first couple of weeks, and they pick up some flashy player who's going off who wasn't really a draft prospect, right? And then he lights it up, in weeks 4 or 5 or something like that, right? Like I feel like he's going to have very hot and cold production, but I feel like that way for all of these guys now. They had a 3-headed room. We need an injury to happen. I want Myles Gaskins to be traded like yesterday. Like the Chiefs, pick up the phone. The Seahawks, pick up the phone. Houston, pick up the phone and make a call for Myles Gaskins. See what it's going to take, because this dude, he should be eating and producing. It ain't going to happen with those two guys ahead of him. Very disappointed. Very disappointed in the Miami Brass. Like, why can't we just have Myles Gaskins season?
But to be kind of optimistic, I guess. To be optimistic, we've seen the 49ers kind of deploy a very similar system in where they've had JaMychal Hasty, Jeff Wilson, Mostert, Trey Sermon was in there a bit.
Elijah Mitchell, big one.
Elijah Mitchell, yes.
The best one.
The most positive. But they also I think it's something like for the past 3 years, they haven't brought back like their leading rusher the next year. Some obviously this year going to be a little different with Elijah Mitchell. So who knows? Maybe we see. We saw the Ravens have how many running back injuries just in training camp? So maybe you can get a little lucky there. I'm thinking optimistic.
I'm not putting that on Chase Edmonds. I'm not putting that on Raheem Mostert. I don't want that to. Yeah, you know what I mean though. Like we don't want that to happen to anybody. But yeah, that could be the reality. And then Gaskin season comes back around. But damn it. They're not making him a priority, and it's pissing me off. It's driving me crazy. Like, who is a priority in this offense then? Like, is it Jalen Waddle? Like, is Jalen Waddle just like the dude? And then that's it. Everybody takes the cue from him. Like it doesn't make any sense for me. It doesn't make any sense.
Dolphins, they're kind of in shambles right now, trying to build it from the ground up. They got their piece in Waddle, and that's about it.
I love McDaniels. Big fan of that personality. I'm rooting for them. But man, not if Myles Gaskin's on the roster. I got to draw the line somewhere. I got to draw the line. Like I really was. I was like, man, like I'm going to be rooting for the Dolphins this year. I like Waddle. I like Gesicki, Devontae Parker. We've got mixed feelings. He got my head shaved once. Like I didn't like that, but he's a decent dude. He can ball out every now and again. And I'm a Myles Gaskin stan. Like you know what I mean? Like when you have your guys, you have your guys. Like he's one of my guys, and he is undervalued and underappreciated.
Almost forgot about the shaved head era of you. That was awesome.
My hair grows fast. That's why it grows fast. Every time I go get a haircut, they say, "Oh, this hair is long. This is what do you do with this? You just have a big old thing of hair on your head." I'm just like, yeah, it's like 2 weeks too long. So let's cut it. One on the side, scissors on top. Let's go. Quit asking questions. More hair cutting. All right. Julio Jones landing spots cut by the Titans, replaced by Bob Trees after that 6th-round pick given up. Where do we see him going? Where could he be a live fantasy option where we're just like lock, stock, and barrel Julio Jones in our lineups every single week?
Yeah, so originally my first team I thought was the Buccaneers. But then they went out and they were kind of recruited Russell Gage, who I think at this point in his career probably has a little more upside for what the Buccaneers need. They got Godwin and Evans, and then you kind of have Russell Gage cleaning everything else up.
Well, keep in mind, Godwin's probably going to miss the first 5 or 6 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Russ Gage season is going to be hitting right out of the gate. But obviously, what goes up will come down when Godwin comes back. So
yeah. They still got Jalen Darden, who I know they're hoping can kind of pan out. Scotty Miller will be in the mix
Ty
there.
Johnson, yeah.
So I think you could almost I mean, I said it earlier. I want to see Julio in Green Bay. I don't know if maybe that cold weather is best for his injury history. That's something that kind of freaks me out because, the ground's just hard. And when you're constantly getting taken down, that could just hurt you. So I think my perfect landing spot to have him, have a bounce back on this Hall of Fame career he's had is the Packers. Get him Aaron Rodgers, get him a quarterback who can absolutely get him the ball.
I don't hate that.
Yeah.
I mean, as a Bears fan, I don't like it, right? I wouldn't love it, but when you were talking about like the arm and the weather, when I flipped that script in my head, I said Arizona. It just right. You get the warm weather, you get the indoor action, and you get a young, prolific back in Kyler Murray. They just tried out AJ Green, and it wasn't that bad. Would Julio Jones be that much worse? Oh, no. Well, it's still AJ Green. Like, who would you rather have at this point in their career, AJ Green or Julio Jones? Even with everything that's happened to Julio Jones the past couple of seasons, I'd still take him.
It's actually crazy because the Julio Jones versus AJ Green debate has dated back to when they were even in like college. And it's funny that we're talking, we're literally talking about this as they're both like on their way out and here we are. It's like you come full circle. I love it. But no, I agree. Julio Jones, you're going to play that upside. He's always kind of been, in my opinion, the better receiver than AJ Green. And if he could just stay healthy, that's all it is.
I could see maybe Larry Fitz trying to recruit him. Larry Fitz very still attached to the Cardinals. He's a loyal, loyal card till he dies. So I could see him maybe trying to do some recruiting to Julio Jones. They're pretty close, right? Been in the league for a while together, so I could see something like that. And he could just take something super team friendly, and maybe the Rams are like, we couldn't pay OBJ. He scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl. He wants $1 billion. What are we gonna do? So we'll go out and get Julio a $2 million contract, something like that.
I mean, is it also out of the possibility? I mean, we've seen the AFC West just snag up damn near everybody who's been out there. It's possible they say, for $2 million, they can add. I mean, dude, there's still some of those teams that are going to need. I think the Broncos, I'm not sold on all their wide receivers yet. And imagine what bringing in a Julio Jones could do for the growth of Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, people like that. I saw some of those videos of when he was talking, in practice to A.J. Brown, just little things because he's so experienced and has been at that high level. I think that kind of can be, some value he adds here too.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's going to be on the table for him just because he's not going to demand a high contract. I think he should target a Super Bowl. I want to see Julio Jones get in the Super Bowl for sure. It was just that 1 year against the Patriots, right? That's it. It's just that one time. What are you going to do? All right, last up here, speaking of the Falcons, don't think that reunion's on the table. We got Cordell Patterson back in the ATL. They also signed Damian Williams. Olamide Zaccheaus is listed as their wide receiver 1 on their depth chart, and Patterson as their running back 1. Buy, sell, neither? Is neither an option? Can I just not touch any of this team?
Okay, so I'm not.
That's the best answer.
I'm still going to be in on Patterson. If you think you're going to get the season, though, you got last year, you're absolutely crazy. Right. Because that was kind of a unicorn, and you still had Russell Gage there, who was, doing some, really the primary receiver
moving
for
the
them.
Chains.
Yeah.
As I think what we'll call it.
But, you're going to see Cordell Patterson in a lot of different, rushing. You're going to see him doing that. You're going to see him split out wide more because they're just going to have to. But if you're going to have some shares of Cordell Patterson, I think you probably need to handcuff him with Damian Williams because Damian Williams did not look bad with his little stint here in Chicago when he played.
He doesn't really look bad anywhere, right? When he plays, he looks pretty decent. Like he's had talent. Like, remember that year where he ran like 90 yards down the field with Tyreek Hill?
Oh yeah, and then the Super Bowl, didn't he have like a nuts Super Bowl when was that the year they won it? Yeah, it had to have been because they did kind of shitty when they lost. But
right.
Yeah, I kind of am playing the Patterson as like, who the hell else is going to do it in this offense?
Sure.
Not really any like, oh, dude, Patterson, he's back. This is his time. Because also he's aging, and Father Time doesn't necessarily do anyone favors unless your name's Tom Brady.
Tom Brady still got a big fight with that dude.
Well, How does the MLB lockout, how is that longer than Tom Brady's retirement?
Because baseball sucks.
Amen. But
no, if anything, I'm like, this is like the precipice of like my interest in baseball right now. Cause I'm like looking at the Cubs. I'm like, all right. I'm looking at the lineup. I'm like, all right, this is suitable. You know, I might watch the first 5 games. You know, I think I can handle this 5 starts. You know, see what we get. But yeah, I mean, he's going to rule that division. I'm not interested in anyone in the Falcons, to be perfectly honest. Kyle Pitts.
You know what I'm pissed about, though? Yeah, I guess Kyle Pitts. I kind of forgot about him. Actually, I was thinking really Hayden Hurst for their tight end.
Where did he go? He just went somewhere. He went to I don't know.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, Hayden Hurst. But did you see the tweet by Kyle Pitts? Like, shucks, we almost got him.
Dude, an all-time just foot in mouth, dude.
Bro, that team is funny right now. Like the Calvin Ridley situation, Kyle Pitts getting pissed they didn't get Deshaun Watson. Like Matt Ryan will forgive that by week 1, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, they are just a fucking hot mess right now. Damian Williams and Patterson, huh? All right, those were the guys to prioritize. Okay, I got it.
Hayden Hurst went to the Bengals.
Bengals and Uzama went to the Jets. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Not the signing I was looking for, guys. Not the move I was looking for. Bengals like
so
Uzama. Okay, Hurst.
Quickly, real quick, back on the Falcons. My moneymaker last year was Tajay Sharp under receiving yards because they just always had his line wrong on DraftKings, and the dude would get 1 catch. And that was, I just constantly bet it, winner. And now it's going to be a little dicey just because, I mean, got to think he maybe catches more than 1 pass in this offense now. So
you can,
what the hell?
You can target Chad Hanson.
Oh, yeah. Now just rotate to a little farther down the depth chart for him.
Move it down. Just move it down. Yeah. Who else they got there? They got some weird ones. Frank Darby, Austin Trammell. Chad Hanson is listed as 4th. I'm pretty sure I cashed some Chad Hanson props last season.
That is as degenerate gets right there. Betting on some Chad Hanson.
Maybe it was the season before because he doesn't have any stats last season.
Well, you hit all them unders.
Yeah, no, it had to have been the season prior because who was he playing for? Maybe I thought it was Houston.
He sounds like a guy who might have been in.
Yeah, it was 2020. He was playing for Houston. That's what it was. But yeah, man, they are super thin. I don't want any of this team. Like I mentioned, I don't trust Matt Ryan. Atlanta's not a team that I target to bet on. You know, everyone hears this story. I'll tell it again where I bet on the Falcons while they were up like 3. I got like plus 17 or something like that up against Tampa. Matt Ryan threw 3 straight interceptions on 3 straight possessions. Like
that's so brutal, dude. And we've all been there too, where you just take something live and get completely dick.
And I just stayed away from Atlanta for like the rest of the year. Like I didn't touch anything from them, you know, nothing, no props, no players, no overs, nothing. I just like, nope, that's it. Our rest in peace birds.
List. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta shadow ban them sometimes when they burn you like that. We do it in fantasy, right? Evan Ingram. You know, you don't hurt yourself again. You just don't get mixed up in that. It's like going back to a bad relationship, you know, when you redraft Evan Ingram after he's already hurt you. All right. That was today's show. You got anything to close it down with, Steve, before we head out?
No. Catch me on Twitter at Stephen Hammond. Catch us on Wednesdays talking basketball. Always a good time. And we'll see you then.
Yep. Yes, sir. Take care. Be well, everybody. You can also find me on Twitter at TITTHJB. Take care. Be good. Be well. If you can't be good at it. We'll see y'all. Take care.